All right. Hello, everyone. I am Jason, and welcome to Solar Sailing episode 30. That is just unthinkable when you imagine just the short time since we've been going. My boat is a 1986 Prout Snow Goose Elite. I don't know why that's used there, but it's weird. And it has had the mast removed on purpose. I have to explain that so that Patrick doesn't freak out on me again. And we have converted it to a strictly solar electric liveaboard that we are going to use to navigate around North America's Great Loop starting in June of this year, hopefully. And I am also wanting to take a moment as I segue over to Aaron, wanting to celebrate this bad boy. Look at that. Patrick, eat your heart out. I know. I
Very
have
neat.
contributed
Funny.
to Extraordinary Horizons taking place. Aaron, take it away.
Hey, what's up, guys? Happy New Year. um, my name is Aaron. I am refitting, rebuilding, renovating a 65-foot one-off custom catamaran right now in South Florida. um, we are planning on setting off very soon. Hopefully, like knocking on wood. Hopefully, like Jason said, you know how it goes with boat work and boats in general. Schedules are out the window. But yeah, that's basically our retirement. We're heading out soon, heading down south towards the Keys and then down to the Caribbean and who knows where from there. And yeah, I'll keep it short. We'll head on over to Patrick.
All right. Thank you very much, Patrick, on Electra, which is a 1976 Cadillac. And I still have my master cells because I never knew how well the electric motors would work. And it turns out they work so well, you never need to use your master cells, but they are still there and they do still work. Back to you, Jason. Oh,
Well,
one more point, Jason.
oh,
Your
go for it,
Elite
please do.
model, the Snow Goose and the Snow Goose Elite, yours is slightly wider, slightly roomier, and a little bit heavier.
You would not
And it's not.
convince my wife, Leslie, of that. She says we need a massive boat. She wants Extraordinary Horizon size. I'm like, no,
Yeah,
I can barely make this boat go.
she can have all the problems that go with it for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, I just want to welcome everyone to the show. Today's going to be a fun one as we focus in on a topic that will soon be revisited upon all three of us here and many of you who are out there in your own navigating situations, and that is going to shore, trading the sea legs for land lubbing, and how to get around without a car. We tried to make that very clear with our thumbnail, and I think you're going to enjoy the show. And I really want to invite you to join in on the chat. We will highlight those. We will talk about those. If it's related at all, we're going to address that. I love more than anything to have a comment interrupt Aaron, and because he just jumps straight into it and like gets fired up with us. We're like, yeah, and, oh,
Yeah.
cool, yeah. But I want to remind everyone before we get going into the show that this is all about us sharing our own passion projects and things that we have found that work, and more importantly, things that don't work. And so we do not want to imply or infer or suggest any kind of warranty, guarantee. Anything that you're doing inspired by what we're doing is just that. It's your inspiration and you do it at your own risk. So let's dive into this topic a little bit of what do you do when it's time to go to shore? I know for my wife and I, we spent the month of July seeing, like, that was our proof of concept. I kept saying it, proof of concept, proof of concept. And when we would go to shore, either from a marina, like when you'd pull into a marina, duh, like you tie off, you're good, boat's good, step off onto the dock and go have a good time. We did that in Oriental, North Carolina. If you've never been to Oriental, it is a charming little town, and you're greeted by just a small so you got the Outer Banks. These are called the Inner Banks. You got the small Inner Banks town along the Intracoastal, a fishing village, and you're just met with its charm right away. And you just step right off and you go walk and you have a good time. It's a small town. Everything's close. Excuse me. And you just go about your business. I mean, we walk straight to a coffee shop that had all the fixins that you'd want to have for breakfast. From there, we walked across the street and there's a marine supply shop. I mean, it's very easy for some of these towns. You just step right off and go. Um, Patrick, what about you? Talk about showing up to a marina and
Yeah,
stopping there. How's that work?
I mean, it can be very different depending on where you are. So, in my first season, we spent some time in a marina in Pula in Croatia. We could see where the main town was, which was across the waterway. So, on one of the first days, I took my old dinghy, which burst its seams when we got there, so we had to take a taxi back. But it was actually a little bit far to walk. You couldn't actually get there on foot. It would, you could. It would take you about 2 hours to walk around and back. Now that's this specific marina, and we've stayed in a couple of other marinas. We stayed in one in Monfalcone, which is in northern Italy, and that one as well. You wouldn't walk to the nearest shop from Monfalcone. It would take you an hour to walk to the nearest shop, or if you wanted
Oh,
to go to
wow.
the big shop, it was about an hour and a half. It was very far. And then I've stayed in places like Grado as well. So Grado is a dock which is literally in the middle of town. So the people that are walking around the main street in town look at your boat as you go past. Same in Preveza, where you're on the town wall. You know, the town is literally behind you. You step off your boat and you can buy coffee within 10 meters
I
of where you
loved
are.
all of your videos from Preveza. It was like, wow, I want to go there someday. That's beautiful.
Yeah, so nice place. There are times when you are miles and miles and miles away from sort of proper civilization, and times when you need to go like really big distances. I remember when I had to return a pressure washer once. In Italy, the nearest anchorage I could find was probably about an hour, 20-minute walk. And do that
Wow.
round trip, it's really, really very far. So it was one of the times I had to find a different way to get there. And I think we're going to go talk through the different options soon. But
Oh,
I've also
yeah,
been on a long run.
absolutely. Just wanted to start off with some experiences that we've all had, specifically with arriving at a marina from the water on your boat. Now, I know, Aaron, you haven't splashed Extraordinary Horizons yet,
Right.
but you've grown up in Florida. You've been around boats.
Right.
Do you have experiences in this scenario,
Yeah.
showing up at
Yeah,
a
of
marina?
course.
What's it like?
Of course. So you have in Florida specifically, you have small towns like Jason had mentioned. I'll call it a small fishing town where everything is centrally located right around the marina. And the marina is actually the focal point. And you have stores and chandleries or boat stores, restaurants, and everything right there within the area that it's a comfortable walking distance. Um, but then you have larger cities where maybe something that you want to get to is a little bit further away. So like this episode is about what do you do? So what do you do if something is a little bit further away than is a comfortable walk? And a comfortable walk may be different for me than it is for Patrick or Jason or somebody else or somebody else out there. It's like some
Remember, we
people,
have our wives on board with
yeah,
us
yeah,
as
yeah, yeah.
well.
So, some people's tolerance for walking travel is greater than others. So yeah, I mean that there's I will say for the most part in Florida, unless you're in a you know in a really rural area, there is everything is within walking distance for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now I will
gas
say that
stations.
there was I have an entire video devoted to a problem we had where our windlass, which we started our boat. A lot of folks they do their boats and they stay on the hard and they finish their boat to the point that they want it to be perfect where they think they're ready and then they go. We were quite literally like, let's see if this is even going to be a lifestyle we want. So we knew going in we're not going to be anchoring at first. We're going to figure that out as we get to the next stop. And we're just going to see, do we even like this? Like, is this something that we can make work? Do I have the skill set for? And do we want this overnight thing where we're doing like, maybe we're going to hate this. We don't know. And so we fell in love with it. But there's an entire episode where, let's say the West Marine is a store here in the States that supplies, it's kind of like the Walmart of the marine supply world, right?
Yeah,
And so they gave us down in Morehead City, they gave us the wrong anchor chain. It was not fit for use with a windlass. And so we had, all this anchor chain that we had to go take off of the boat. And the guys there in Oriental, that store, they were like, "Oh, just go ahead and bring it up to us. We'll exchange it for you." I'm like, "I'm on a boat. I'm not. I can't carry 150 feet of all this chain. There's no way."
Yeah, it weighs a
And
few
so
hundred
they were
pounds.
like, "Oh, well, this is something fun. Let's think it through." And I'm going, even with the things we're about to talk about, how would I handle that situation? Each situation's a little unique because you don't have a car that's your car that you're pulling with you. And so it
Right.
introduces all kinds of challenges. Before we dive into the slideshow, any other comments from our co-host here?
No, none yet. But
I think we're good.
something just popped in my head as another mode of transportation that I don't think we were going to mention. But let's go ahead. I'll talk
Oh,
about
love
it.
it.
Yeah.
Patrick, final thoughts before we jump in?
I also have one mode of transportation we haven't mentioned, and I think it's probably the same one Aaron does. So let's see how we do later on.
Oh, I'm so excited. Good grief. I love
Yeah, because
mystery reveals.
so it was a lightning. It was a light bulb moment when you were talking about this few hundred pounds of chain.
Yeah.
So like
It
the
felt like
couple,
1,000,000 pounds. I thank you for
yeah,
for making the truth statement out there.
yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
felt like an immovable object.
You're not carrying that. It's a few hundred pounds, and it's big and it's bulky, and I don't believe that any of the modes of transportation that we're going to discuss today would have been able to accommodate that. But I think Patrick and I may be thinking of the same
I,
thing,
I
but we'll
don't
see.
know. Wait until you see some of Patrick's past contraptions. It might
Yeah,
have
but
been
he
able to
wouldn't.
work.
No, I don't think. Well, unless he had like a wheelbarrow behind his little half-ass scooter,
Hey,
I don't think it would be.
I'm not here
It
to
would be.
judge. I'm not here to judge.
Go
Let's
ahead.
find out. I'm sure it's the same as what Aaron
All
just
right, so let's
said. Yeah.
dive in here, folks. Again, on the comments, please do put those out there. We look forward to what you have to say as well. Here's our starting point, and as we dive in, excuse me, let me turn on this little laser pointer because I like to use that. It's the teacher
Perfect.
in me. All right, here we go. What are our options when we look at this concept of getting to land from your boat? You don't have a car in tow. Well, the obvious choice, walk. And you know what? In most cases, that's probably going to be enough. Um, I don't want to dive in too deep on those. I just want to list them. The next one, bike, scooter. Now, I think because of the time frame we all live in, we need to specify separately e-bike and e-scooter. So a bike and scooter, obviously, we're talking about mechanical. You pedal, you push, it moves. But then
Yeah.
we got the e-bikes and e-scooters, and I put it Cedra there. You're going to find out. Then ride services, whether they be taxis or honestly, marinas will sometimes provide a golf cart or some kind of a transportation car for you. Sometimes they're free, sometimes there's a little fee for it. It's just chat with them. Maybe they had that. But then you've also got here in the States and often in Europe as well. I don't know about other places, things like Uber, Lyft, in addition to actual yellow car taxis. Rental cars, we had to get to a rental car. So this is kind of funny. In Belhaven, North Carolina, another little town along the intracoastal where we had to take out and return home, leave our boat on the hard. Um, there was a dilemma like, okay, well, wait a minute. Are there rental cars here? We need to get to the airport, which is more than 100 miles away. How do we get there? Oh, crap. I didn't actually game plan for that exit strategy. I just assumed there would be rental cars available in every town. No, there were no rental cars in Belhaven, North Carolina. That was mind blowing for me. And so we had to pay a couple $100 actually to get the guy from the marina who was going to the town where the rental cars were. He gave us a ride along with his dog, mind you. And it was this is not like Napoleon, Patrick's dog, little cute little dog. Didn't was that Napoleon we just saw?
Yeah.
Where's Niles? I like Niles
Yeah.
too. I think Niles
Yeah.
was the one who got on our lap a lot. But anyway, no, this is not
That's a
Napoleon and
mistake.
Niles. This was a pit bull, and I'm like, oh god, pit bulls can be friendly. they've got a reputation for a reason. I'm not as entirely comfortable being in this van with a pit bull, but we did fine. We got there, we figured it out, right? So rental cars are an option, but they're not as convenient as you might think, even here in the States. And then we've got public transportation. Now, public transportation is a thing. Some folks, that's all they ever know. All over New York, good grief. They don't own a car. They never have owned a car. Maybe they have an e-bike or something for getting between points, but yeah, they're very accustomed to public transportation. Not something that I'm real accustomed to. I've done it. It's fine. It works. No, it's out of my comfort zone a lot of times. And so you've got to think about you and you've got to also adapt to your situation. Uh, Guys, any input here on these options?
No, I mean they're pretty.
Okay. Well, I mean, I haven't had a car for a few years. One of the nice features we had in the marina in Monfalcone was they had a car sharing car, which was kind of like a rental car, but you book it by the hour. And it was fully electric as well. So for 10 euros or probably about $12, you put an app on your phone and the car's yours. You go to the shops, you go to the airport and back. It was great.
Oh, nice. And I assume you obviously have to fill it up. Do they pay attention to that? Like,
This one was electric, so you plug it in when you get back and there's no other costs.
brilliant,
So
brilliant.
Wow.
Love
good
it.
use. But
So
it was always busy during the season. You couldn't get it, whereas in winter it was always available.
is this the place for you guys to interject your other options we haven't discussed yet, or do you want to hold on to those wild cards?
Patrick.
Mine was actually the rental car. I didn't see it in the slides.
Yeah. So I mean, Jason put a pretty exhaustive list. Mine was the Uber or the Lyft, because you could have one of them put the anchor chain possibly in the hatch or the trunk of their car. So good job, Jason. He pretty much covered everything. Yeah.
All right. I like that. Patrick, last chance before we move on.
Nothing else for you at the moment?
Oh, I love it. Holding those cards close. All right, let's bounce to cost savings. So this is one I really want Patrick's input on because I still have two cars with full on payments and insurance, full coverage, and no gas. We've got two electrics or oil, but I wanted to put in just this one wasn't an attempt to be exhaustive. This was let's just get the big ones. Other ones you don't really factor in or think of too much when you're in my shoes until you're about to get to where I will be, which is coming up here in June. Taxes, good grief, the taxes that at least we pay here in the United States. Wow, Missouri state taxes are low compared to some places too. And goodness, those can become just a bear when you start boiling it all down. Aaron, what are your thoughts on this list?
Yeah, for sure. Living in South Florida, all of these things are increased. Taxes and insurance and service and everything is increased for sure. Like say if you're in June, you're gonna go carless.
No cars. Whoa.
Yeah, that's definitely, it's a scary thought, but it's definitely going to decrease your outgo. Obviously there'll be other things that are going to fill in where maintenance on the boat typically isn't cheap. But we had talked about this the other day. I think that you'll be pleasantly surprised. You'll have less outgo. Like, two cars, it's a lot. Insurance and service.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in Patrick's perspective from years now without a car, he said. That is mind-boggling because honestly, I've owned a car since I was 15. And I'm 50. Like this is one of the scarier topics for me for what's coming ahead of us. All the boat trips sounds fun. That it sounds awesome, relaxing. But the idea of not having the freedom to get in my car when I want and go wherever in the hell I want to go when I want. I don't care if it's 2 a.m. I go. I don't have that. That's a little That's a lot disconcerting. Patrick, speak of that.
Go back to that slide. You've missed the biggest expense in car ownership. And
we got to go back to the slide. Give me a moment because this buffers a little bit. All right, here we go.
Life, I used to be a personal finance blogger a lot of the time. The biggest expense in owning a car isn't any of those things you see in front of you. The biggest expense is the depreciation and the
Yeah.
difference in price between what you buy a car at and what you sell a car at. It is monstrous. It is absolutely huge, especially if you're
Yeah.
somebody who buys new cars. It's bigger than all of those put together.
Why
And
is
people
Patrick
don't think
staring
that
into
it's
my
an
soul
invisible
right
cost.
now?
Yeah.
You don't see depreciation every day until you sell your car.
Yeah.
But
Then
yeah,
you,
I mean, if you're somebody who likes to drive new cars and mid-range new cars, and that you're spending $1 million over a lifetime comfortably.
yep, for sure. Yeah,
Very good stuff.
you never think about that when when you're spending, say, like a mid-range new car at, what is it, 50, 60K nowadays, um
Yeah,
and then a few years later, what are you selling it for? Like 15K or ish, maybe ish. So, I you you put the you get to drive the car, so basically you're renting the car, because then at the end you're selling the car that you rented for the time that you had it. I'm looking at the comments.
We got a comment here from Solar Cat Berenike. I can never really pronounce that correctly. Patrick, I need your help.
I
I know
think it is
he was a
Berenike,
former
but I
special
don't know
guest.
either.
I do know that.
Yeah, it's my best guess is Berenike.
Very
Yeah,
good. So we got hello everyone. This summer I'm going to take a small off-road electric motorbike with me on my boat. I think that's smart
that
because
sounds
there's a
fun.
lot of places to use that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm
that's
guessing by small electric motorcycle, it means it's something that can actually take a passenger, which a lot of the options we're talking about actually don't have that ability.
Yeah. Yeah, and here's the thing
Might
that
work
I
well.
question on this though. Small off-road electric motorbike, I want to know its size because how are you going to get it to shore? That is something I'm very curious. Maybe gosh, I forget who that is, but whether that's man, I'm trying to remember. Anyway, whoever that is, if how are you getting that to shore? Leave us another comment. We'd love to know more. So let's go ahead and dive back into our slideshow here, and we're going to go to the topic of walking. Right, like this is going to cover most of your transportation needs in a typical. Let's go to shore and grab some stuff. And so, what are the benefits here? What are the advantages? Well, there's no need to lug the weight, like I was just talking about. No need to bring a small off road electric motorbike with you. No need to bring anything with you other
except for a
than you,
backpack.
your shoes, and your backpack, right?
Yep.
Like that's it. And so that's a benefit. Now, that's also very easy for staying near the dock. If you're going to be within walking distance, like even if you have something that you could get around on, why would you go through the hassle of lugging it if you're going to be within walkable distance? Just walk. Now, when we look at other options here or other advantages, sorry, great for plentiful public transport or ride sharing. So if you have access to, for example, public transport, whether it be the subway or bus or street cars or all the different options, um, or you have Uber or Lyft or something that's nearby, yellow cabs, then heck yeah, walk, hail your ride, go for your ride further away, come back, you're good. But then we have some challenges. So it is dependent on available options for anything beyond the dock. I'm going to use another example from our own summer excursion. We had to stay overnight at a public dock in a tiny little place called Hoboken. Hoboken was gorgeous because it's so remote. But Hoboken also had absolutely zero options beyond you're walking or you have provided your own transportation. I guess if you wanted to risk hitchhiking, but I didn't even put that as an option because that just sounds sketchy as all get out. I'm not hitchhiking. So, thoughts on that, fellas, as far as disadvantages? Oh, let
Yeah.
me finish
So,
the list too. We got limited
uh,
capacity, and yeah, so there you go. What are our thoughts on our list here? What
so
would we add?
I have a an advantage to walking, which is a quite a large advantage. Exercise, because when you're on a boat, you're typically cooped up in small spaces, and there's not a lot of room to do any kind of um, exercise, like cardiovascular exercise. So walking is good exercise. So yeah,
Fantastic point.
yeah,
Yeah. That's what's going to be my point as well. We're on the same wavelength today, Aaron.
yeah,
And it reduces your healthcare costs, which is great. So.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Fantastic stuff. I will interject here. We've got a response to the question, sort of. So lugging this thing, it's only about 50 kilograms, so not very heavy. Transfer that, or what's the
Pounds.
equivalent of that in pounds?
Probably 110 or so, maybe
Oh,
120.
that's heavy.
Yeah,
Damn.
I'm
That's
going, that's
heavy,
heavier.
yeah.
Ooh.
And that's
But
without the
it's fun,
battery.
and
So what?
if it
200.
carries two people, which I assume it does, it's only 25 kilos a person.
Yeah. What? Carrying it with two people? Yeah.
No, if it can have two passengers on board, it's kind of the same weight as two of your bicycles, Jason.
Oh,
Oh
well,
yeah.
I'm also thinking about the dinghy. Like, what kind of dinghy are you using? Because, gosh, you're going to be weighing that sucker down. And even if it wasn't so heavy, is it like spatially taking up too much space? Is it clunky? Is it going to poke a hole in it? You're like, there's some questions I have there. It's a cool concept, but
What's the
how do you
range?
get it?
What's the range on something like that? So yeah.
It would be nice if you'd WhatsApp us. I know we've got a group going with them. If you'd WhatsApp us a picture and some basic specs, we'll talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. Or if you're able to, I don't know, can you attach that here? I don't think so. Yeah, let's move forward with our list here. So those are really good about walking. I think there's good points there. Any drawbacks to walking that we haven't addressed?
It's I mean, it's just your limited distance that you can cover.
It depends on it. It would depend on the weather. And what about if it rains? What about
Yeah.
if it's too hot? What about if it's windy?
Yeah.
What about if your wife is complaining? Uh, you
Yeah.
know, I mean,
Yeah.
all legitimate concerns for sure.
Love that. What about if your husband's complaining?
Sure, yeah.
I would be complaining. I'd be like, ah. All right, here we go.
You're there yet?
So
Well, go ahead.
before we dive in here, we've got another follow-up. Range is addressed 50 miles. That's a fantastic range.
Yeah,
That's super
Nice.
cool.
nice.
Yeah, I love the concept. It's just getting it to shore. I'm very curious of how he's going to get that to shore. Scooter or e-bike? Let's talk about the advantages here. So when we're talking scooters and e-bikes and things of that nature, most of them fold up, whether it be the upright, like handlebars fold down on a scooter, or an e-bike will collapse in and handlebars fold down. Like the folding options do abound. There's a big increase in range over walking. I mean, that's kind of obvious. I mean, look at the area as far as 50 miles. Good grief. I'm not walking any 50 miles. No way. And even you could go, well, it's not really 50 miles because you got to think round trip. Okay, 25 miles. I'm not walking that. And so big increase on range, speed boost. I put saves time. It also saves energy because you're not having to expend that. You're not exhausted. Now, the trade off there is you're also not, exercising your physical person. And then no need to refuel. What am I talking about there? So for my situation, what's nice is, yes, I'm refueling in the form of plugging in when I get back to the boat, or the batteries that come out and you can go and charge those wherever you might be. So you're technically refueling there. I just don't even think about it as that. Like I'm thinking more like the pain in the butt of having a gas tank, all that stuff you got to deal with liquid fuel. But
Hey, Jason, let
yeah,
me ask you a question, or Patrick. So maybe Patrick too. So refueling, would you think that it's easier to refuel something electric with a battery or something with a diesel or a gas engine? Like are you able to find an outlet or a plug to plug this thing in as easily accessible as a gas station to put a hose in and fill something up?
So if you're living on a boat, absolutely charging is easier than plugging in, provided you're a boat with enough solar panels, like most of us will be by now.
Yeah.
Gas stations, like when I've stayed in different marinas, gas stations are not close by. You've got to get to them, and you've got to wait in line, and you've got to take your fuel canister or fill things up. And it's absolutely easier. Look, I've also got probably about 45,000 miles on electric vehicles, electric bicycles, and scooters in South Africa. And again, it was just so much easier plugging it in when I got home or plugging it in when I got to the office than having to stop for fuel on that. And the same with our boats. I mean, my boats, 3 seasons, I've never had to go to a fuel dock. That's a huge, huge advantage. I've just
Yeah.
sort of sat around and like, oh, it's 8 o'clock, but don't worry, by 10 the batteries will be full. We can go.
Wow.
Well, and that's not even addressing like you've got the standard AC outlets on your boat. You can plug in there. If you've got a multi-plus or whatever inverter you've got. I do want to bring up, here's the follow-up on the model. An
There we
Arctic
go.
Leopard XE Pro S. That is news to me. I don't know what that is. Patrick, you seem
That
to know
sounds
what that is.
fancy. That sounds
Right?
fancy.
That-
I'm
like,
busy
ooh.
Googling it.
Yeah.
There we go. It's basically, you'll see it's kind of like a really big cross between a really big bicycle and a really small electric motorcycle with a rather large battery, 72 volts, 55 amp
Ooh.
hour. So we're going to multiply that in my head. What are we getting to? It's a 3.5 kilowatt hour battery. It's a
Oh
big one.
my. That is big. That's awesome. Man, I think it's cool. My only reservation there is getting it from boat to shore.
Yeah, how do you move it around? How do you move it
And,
around?
and it sounds heavy. Like I guess you could just lower it onto the boat.
I
But you
mean-
gotta get out and on the dock.
I would venture to guess that this isn't something that you're going to go out in for 10 minutes and then come back. This is something that you're going to go out for the day in. You're going to leave it. You're going to reserve it for those kind of
Big
situations.
trips.
Yeah.
Or joy riding along
Sure.
a beautiful shore, which
Yeah.
that's awesome. Why would you not want to do that? I want to do that.
Or go to the next town or something like that, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. Like inland. That's
Yeah.
all fantastic points. We also have Rob Moore, which Rob, I'm so glad to see you here, brother. I was so disappointed to hear about your ordeal with your solar arch. That sounds awful, and I'm glad you're safe. I'm looking forward to hearing more from you. I want to have you at some point come on as a special guest. I don't know how we work that out, but it would be a blast just to hear about your adventure. But he brings up, what if it isn't a safe area? That's an interesting question because some places, I know even along the Great Loop, you see like the Boomer Shines, they had an ordeal where a public dock they stayed at. I don't want to name the town because it seems kind of rude, but like they had people who were rude and harassing them, and they were kind of drunk or under the influence of something, and just it felt unsafe to them and their kids. Like people were throwing bottles, like plastic bottles, on their boat. Like, wow, that's cool. Good for you. Why don't you go live life somewhere else? But that kind of a thing. Okay, well, I don't want to go walking there. Hell, I don't want to dock there. I want to go somewhere else. I don't want to be there. But if I have to be there, yeah, like in that ordeal, I don't want to walk. I want to have something I can get away faster. But that's me. What are your guys' thoughts if it's not such a safe area?
Um,
I'm in Europe.
Yeah.
I've come from South Africa and I now live in Europe. Everything's safe.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, I grew up in Miami, right, in the city. So street smarts. I mean, you don't travel someplace but then again, Rob makes a really good point, because unless you have reviews or other people's experience of the area and you've never been there before, how do you really know? You may be stepping into a minefield, and a lot of it is, I guess, gut feeling and street smarts. That it's hard to say. Like, yeah, it's definitely a valid point. I don't know. I wouldn't know until I got there.
And I'm thinking even on let's flip it entirely, and we're dealing with civilization towns.
Yeah.
Let's say we're in a less safe area that's a natural habitat. Like I'm thinking we're going to be going through the Great Dismal Swamp. Like, yeah, we're not going to stop off and let's go on our e-bikes through the swamp. I don't know. I don't want to do that. That sounds terrible.
Right. Well,
And
I mean,
so,
you have then again, you have like nature to deal with, like alligators and
snakes,
monkeys, and yeah,
or
for
up
sure.
north bears. I mean, that's a thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So the one thing I can comment on with safety wise is also sometimes you get to, you've got your bike or your electric scooter, whatever, you have to lock it up because theft happens pretty much everywhere. And so that's something you do need to consider.
Very good point. Yeah. All right. Very good. Let's jump back to our slideshow and we will dive into the additional topics related to advantages and and challenges with scooters, e-bikes. So I need to move over there and click. Haul capacity. So that is an advantage over walking, depending on your situation. Like some scooters, maybe not so much, but e-bikes that have a rack on the back or maybe a basket in the front, something of that nature. Patrick, I don't know if he'll be sharing or has shared images later on of outrageous amount of cargo hold that he was able to accomplish with an e-bike, where you're like, come on, man, that's how you have two straps strapping that thing down. And so then we get to challenges: the need to lug from boat to dinghy to shore and back, like that. That's back to this comment with the e motorbike. Like, it sounds awesome. How do we get it from boat to shore and back? Like, that's just really questionable to me. And has to be charged. Okay, so if we're dealing with a scooter or an e-bike, how are you going to charge it? Well, we kind of talked about that. We've got plenty of solar, and the idea that, if you've got, say, a restaurant that's okay with you plugging the battery in because the battery pulls out, cool. I do recommend asking. Don't just like assume you can plug it in. Some people are pricks with electric vehicles and batteries, and they just assume it's okay to plug in. Like, that's not yours. Ask. They're probably going to say yes, but ask.
Yeah.
And then we got securing when inside the destination. So that's to Patrick's point. Like, okay, if I left my e-bike out front, do I have a lock? Do I have a place to lock it to? Is that an appropriate place for me to lock it? Safety gear. So we're thinking like helmets and things like that. All important. Any
one big
parting thoughts
disadvantage
on all
you're
that?
missing.
Go ahead.
So the one disadvantage you're missing with an e-bike or an e-scooter or any of these is the batteries are generally not the safe kind.
Or not safe one.
Explain.
They're usually lithium ion and not lithium iron phosphate. So you are carrying a risk on your boat. Not a huge one, but fires typically happen when you're charging the stuff, not when you're using it. So you are charging it on your boat.
So be careful for thermal runaway and all that kind of a
Keep an
thing.
eye on it. Yeah, don't charge it unattended. Yeah.
Right. Rob gives a really good shout out here. Love it. Does this Dismal Swamps, good time you should go through. Yeah, it's actually fantastic, beautiful. Has a horrible name, steeped in history with the Underground Railroad, steeped in history with George Washington and bypassing the British naval blockade back in the American Revolution time. Very exciting stuff. Can't wait to release some content on that as we go through. So back over here as we go through into the public transportation comments, I am going to put a plea out there for our viewers. If you have input here, because they're kind of small, because I'm going off of what I've experienced, which is limited, or what I've heard of, which is also limited. So typically it does have vast range. So I'm thinking New York, I'm thinking Chicago,
big
more
cities.
so than other places. Yeah, go for it.
Now you're thinking of big cities, like which
Right.
there are some big cities, but I think that there's more small towns than there are big cities. So you don't really have that vast of a range.
Because America's all about the car, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But
me,
then
the
you've
public
got
transport,
Europe, which, I mean, we were just in Italy and Greece, and we were impressed. Wow. So, like, Patrick, I'm sure, can speak to the vast range and accessibility of what they have there in the Med.
Yeah, I mean, so Greece, not so much. Croatia, buses are everywhere. You can get to where you want to go. But usually the towns are small enough that you can walk it out. And because we like to keep fit, we typically would walk instead of the inner city transportation. But the big one here, which we're not talking about, is the intercity transportation. So if I'm in Preveza and I need to get to Athens, the bus is my go-to. The same when I was in Pula and I needed to catch a flight, which meant catching a bus to get to a train. you always you're going between cities, yeah, which is something you have to, you need public transport to do.
So fascinating when you start breaking all this stuff down, all the different things that you,
Yeah.
at least for me, I'm like, I never had to think about it this much because I've always had a car. Relatively affordable. Now that's again relatively. I mean, sometimes
Mm.
you jump on an Amtrak here in the States, and that's not affordable. That's a plane ticket. And
Mm.
so you've got oftentimes it's a timely schedule. Again, to Aaron's point, yeah, in big cities, not available in Hoboken, North Carolina.
Yeah,
There's
it's going to
nothing.
be the timely schedule may be less timely in the smaller cities because it doesn't run
Yeah.
as often.
Right. And then we jump back to Rob's point. If you're feeling unsafe,
What do
I
you do?
want a timely schedule. I want out now.
Yeah.
And then we jump to the challenge, which is kind of the inverse of that, the limited availability, right?
Mm.
Potential delays. I remember being in New York a couple of times, and you're like, hey, this very predictable, very available subway system, when the whole line goes down, oh no, what do I do now? And not
The
only
city
that,
stops.
everybody else is coming up with the same alternative plans, and now Uber is skyrocketing because of big demand, and you know how all that goes. And
Yeah.
then lack of privacy. Like, I don't know, I really value my privacy. I value my bubble. I mean, for example, like you get on the subway or on a bus or even on a shuttle at an airport, and I feel like they're everyone's too close. I want a little more space, and that's probably growing up in America impact, but that's my reality, right? And so, yeah, the lack of privacy feels weird, and then the lack of scheduling freedom is a thing. Like you're not able to just jump in your car and go. You have to
Yeah.
think
You're
about when
dependent.
you're going to be
You're
there.
you're you're dependent on public transportation. In that
All
case.
good points. Patrick, what's the
Yeah.
European perspective on all this?
For for one of the negatives on public transport is a lot of the time you can't take your dogs with you. So if you've got big dogs, absolutely, there's no public transport that's very happy with it. But we travel with our dogs, we move around with them all the time, so we can take them on metros very easily. Usually the metros are fine. Buses are not usually as good, and long distance buses are an absolute no, which has been a big problem for us in Greece.
Interesting. What about parrots?
Yeah. No. That
Yeah.
No, but that's a definite concern for sure. We have dogs. We have dogs and parrots. So
Yeah,
the dogs are people are usually quite a bit more. I can't think of the word, but they're tolerant.
accommodated.
They're
Hmm.
tolerant. They're more of a mainstream type of pet, so to speak. But with a parrot, it definitely is going to limit our availability on things quite a bit more for sure.
All very good and valid concerns. And so, yeah, everything that we have here has strengths, advantages, challenges, drawbacks.
Sure.
Fees. Sometimes the fees can get really expensive on public transportation if you're going from here, making a connection there, and then up to here, and then around there. I mean, goodness gracious, you can rack up quite a bill. Now let's jump to specific e-bikes and electric scooters because now we're digging in a little bit here. And we're going to have some brands that are represented. That does not mean we've been endorsed by these brands, nor have we been sponsored, nor have we been given anything. At least I'm speaking for myself. I know, Aaron, you may or may not, I don't know.
No,
But
I don't have anything like this. No, I haven't. I don't have any kind of sponsorship or endorsement with any kind of electric
Patrick,
scooter.
how about you?
I wish, but no.
No, me neither.
All of us,
Nothing.
I wish.
Yeah,
Contact us. We would be glad to entertain your sponsorship offer. All right, let's
yeah,
go ahead and dive in and look. We've got these. Now, if you're anywhere near a moderately sized city, pretty much all across the US or Europe at this point, like we've seen these in Paris, we've seen these on occasion in Italy, depending on where you are. Some cities ban them as far as the like lime or what are some of the others? We don't have to dive into it. Bird, I think, is another one. The brands that are out there that you see where you can like scan it with your phone and it activates and you can basically use it as a rental and then you drop it off in an appropriate place. But then you get the problems of where's the approved zone, and if you drop it outside of the approved zone, then it's going to yell at you and make you backtrack or get to it can become a bit of a problem.
Sounds like
But
it sounds like public transportation all over again.
it's the same thing. Yeah, you do get the benefit of not being all next to people, but also some of them are just gross. Like people have done gross things to them. They're dirty, they're filthy, like ugh. Go get a different one. There's not another one available. This is the I will never be able to pronounce that word, and I hate not being able to pronounce words. Is it
It's
Xiaomi?
Xiaomi, my favorite brand in the whole world for nearly everything. I know they're not in the
What?
States, but there
Whoa,
are
whoa! You can't drop a bomb like that and just zip right past that. Say that one more.
Xiaomi
Your
is the
favorite brand?
for everything,
Oh,
practically. So Xiaomi is the Chinese Apple, and they've only been around a little while. They make everything. They make absolutely my RoboVac, which is cleaning my floor here in Lisbon, is a Xiaomi. The most popular scooters in the world is Xiaomi. My favorite cell phones that I don't have that I used to have was a Xiaomi, and now replaced with a OnePlus. And I wish I could have a Xiaomi again. The world one of the world's best-selling e-car brands, electric car brands now is Xiaomi. They literally make the greatest electric car in the world.
okay.
You can't buy it
We got to
anywhere outside of
poll. We got
China
to
yet.
poll our audience. Drop it in the comments if you knew about Xiaomi being the equivalent of Apple from China. Like, maybe I'm the only ignorant fool here. I mean,
I don't know anything about them.
like drop it in the comments if you knew that. I don't mind
They
saying I'm the
are
dummy.
the greatest. They're the greatest Chinese company in the world by leaps and bounds, and they
Wow.
make a better car than the best Teslas out there. Anyway, the
Oh,
scooters.
whoa, whoa, whoa!
It's
Fight me,
it's
fight me right
it's
here
not
on
an
TV.
argument.
Let's go.
It's just it's a fact. I mean, it's one of these crazy facts. Anyway, I love them. They make great stuff. They make the most common electric scooter you see around here in Europe, and it's 330 euros. It's cheap even for European prices. You get it much cheaper online if you wanted to. But yeah, I mean, 60 kilometers or 37-mile range, for
That's not bad.
$380 is a bargain.
That is not bad at all. I'm like, that's actually good.
And this is the price. This is not me shopping around for prices. This is me going to Xiaomi.Portugal and just saying, what does the Xiaomi Electric 2.5 cost? And that's the price.
Wow, that's fantastic. Okay, so there it is. And this is that style where you ride on it, and if the power goes out, you can push with your foot, like you're just pushing along.
Very common with boaters around Europe. Not specifically the Xiaomi ones. I mean, you also get Segway ones and 9-bot ones and all the rest.
Sure.
But
What's the weight?
This one is 12 kilograms, so we're looking at about 25 pounds.
Wow. I mean, it's
I'll pull it up. If I'm wrong, I'll change my mind now, but it's
Pretty light.
around there, yeah.
I mean, that's perfect. Now, the drawback here is you don't have a seat, and some people really want a seat, especially if you're going to be going for any distance. And they do take a little bit more balance. Like if you're top heavy on one of these, it feels disconcerting. Can I just put it that way? I'm going to leave it at that, and you can interpret that however you want. But if you're pretty balanced and you have a good center of gravity, these work fine.
Yeah.
Like you push it once and you're off. I like them.
The weight is 20 kilograms, so it's about 45 pounds. So my mistake.
So that's right in there with the electric folding bike then, as far as weight.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's much simpler.
I would have thought
and
they'd be
there's
much
fewer
lighter.
moving parts. I mean, you can get lighter ones. You can get them all the way down to about 13 kilos or about 25 pounds.
Huh.
No, sorry, about 30 pounds. This one has got the 60-kilometer range, whereas your entry-level one will have a 30-kilometer range, and that's much lighter because of the battery.
Sure.
But they are very simple. They almost never break down because you've got three moving parts. You've got a steering wheel, you've got a front wheel and a back wheel. Whereas bicycles, you've got lots of moving parts.
Now, when we look at this here, and I'm going to see, can I bounce over to this? Or if that's going to mess us up. Excuse me for just a moment while I try and adjust. Yeah, there we go. So we can actually see the things.
Yeah.
That does give us a little busyness in the background, but I think we'll be okay. So this is the electric folding. This is the E-Lite, and this one folds up, as you can see up here. Let me bounce over here. Yep. So you can see it folded up and then fully assembled. And these they're expensive. Like you buy a new one of those, you're spending $1,000. You can get them as low as $799, but that's the base model entry level. The one that I've priced out here is more like the long range um, one that I would actually entertain getting. Right, um, goes sufficiently fast at 20 miles per hour. They have other e-bikes that aren't folding necessarily that'll go up to like pushing 40 miles per hour at this point. They've got fast ones. I don't know how comfortable I would feel going 40 miles an hour on a bicycle. I don't know. I've never done it. It feels like it would be feeling rather fast. It does have a decent
It's
range at
fast,
45 miles. Sorry, go ahead.
no, no, it is fast. We'll get to my bicycles later, but I've done 55 miles an hour on a bicycle, and it's
And
not
live to
comfortable.
tell the tale. That's great.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it. Now, these again, 49 pounds. That's about the limit of what I feel comfortable lugging up and down into the dinghy and off of the dinghy. Like that's, I know I'm weak,
You,
but
s- you say that, but you haven't done it yet.
ooh, shots fired. I like it. No, that's good. I have lifted. What did I lift that was heavy out of our dinghy? Uh, oh, I remember. It was the e-propulsion Spirit 1.0 Plus with the battery still on it. I was stupid and didn't
Okay.
detach the battery.
Yeah,
Um,
so
that
you
was
could
heavy.
you could do it, but do you want to do it on a everyday
On the
basis,
regular.
or yeah,
Exactly.
quite a bit?
And I think that comes down to the point. Like if walking's going to be sufficient, absolutely, I'm not bringing
Mhm.
it. But if I know, like there were times, where was that? That was in Bellhaven. They have plenty of stuff right around the water, like restaurants and such. But if you want to go grocery shopping, that's like 2.5, 3 miles away. That's on the
Hardware
edge
store,
of
yeah.
what I want to walk, right? Like it's close. We did walk it. I wasn't happy about it, because by the time you get there and then walk back lugging a bunch of crap, you're like, I freaking hate this. I'm call me spoiled, but I did not like that. And so I would have definitely for that situation been glad to lug this because it equals just convenience.
Yeah.
I'm fine for you guys to call me names if you want to. Go for it, especially in the comments. That'd be fun. I'll share it.
Uh,
Like, what a wuss.
no.
All right, let's bounce to this. Remember when I said etc.? I was like e-bikes, e-scooters, etc. This would be an example of an etc. because that's weird and I love it. And it's weird. And that is the one wheel pint. That is a one wheel pint. Now I want to see with my own natural eyes, I want to see Aaron Andrews on a pint, on a one wheel
Yeah,
pint.
I've never ridden one of those
It'd
before.
be so fun. I mean, it would be a blast. I think we would both fall, but we would have a blast doing it. I'd break a hip and you'd laugh, and I would think it's funny too until I had to get the doctor bill. But a one wheel pint, what this is like if you've never seen these guys get on it like it's a one wheeled skateboard. And if you lean forward, it propels forward. If you lean back, it slows down. I don't think I've seen one in reverse, but maybe it could do it. I don't know. Patrick probably knows. But this is 750 US
Okay.
dollars and it has a very small range at 8 miles and it's only going to go 16 miles per hour, which honestly on one wheel on a skateboard essentially 16 miles per hour is good. I'm good. Let's be good with that. Patrick, any thoughts on this?
I've never seen one in the wild, so I don't think it's a popular option. And with a range like that, yeah, when they claim an 8 mile range, you're only getting a 4 mile range. So
Yeah, right. No, I've seen them in the wild here in the U.S. They have a larger one. I went with the pint because I wanted to highlight it. But in the
okay.
U.S., you see them. They're usually like in the inner city or along sidewalks or whatever. Heck, I've seen them here, and we're in the suburbs of Kansas City. Like they're around, but it's very fringe, and you don't see very many people riding them. And I am two parts intrigued and one part terrified of such a contraption. I think it looks terrifying. Then that leads us to the one Patrick added to the mix, which is
Yeah.
not much better, but I've seen these in Europe. In Paris, I saw lots of them,
Yeah. So
and that's
this
the
specific
In
one
Motion.
is is an in-motion V6. I mean, they make ranges. My brother-in-law has one of these that does 50 miles an hour, believe it or not, and has a 60-mile range, which is absolutely
Rewind. Did
ridiculous.
you say 50 miles per hour? Kilometers.
I did. Yeah, no, it's a monstrous thing. You get these, look, the same with the e-scooters, the stand-up scooters. You get motorcycle replacements that are stand-up e-scooters.
Wow.
And my brother-in-law, who is a base jumper and a paraglider and does all things crazy, has a 50-mile-an-hour monowheel, is what this in-motion thing is called. But this
No
is the base
chance I
model,
want
one
to
of the
go
entry
50 miles an hour on that.
and do it for 60 miles. I mean, really, it's a one-wheeled motorcycle. But the more typical one is these lightweight little ones you see all over the show. And this is the lightest you can get pretty much for an electric vehicle because there's just nothing else to it. You know, there's a wheel and a battery, and you stand on it and you lean, and it works really well.
And what I love about
Um,
these that I saw in Europe is when you're done with
yeah,
it, the stands fold up
yeah,
and it has a handle on the top you can carry. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So
I
this,
have a question. So
yeah,
on any of these one wheel things, you can't carry a backpack filled with groceries or anything else because it hurts the center of gravity, right? Or can you?
you can. You got to counter for it when you're leaning. So I've seen people with big backpacks full of stuff. It probably makes it more difficult, but can
Yeah.
be done. Probably
Uh,
not as easy as a bicycle.
And
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
But
balance is
it's incredibly
gyroscopic, so
small.
it's I mean it's got the
Yeah.
tech in there to keep you from necessarily falling, but yeah, you are definitely
Yeah,
gonna have to lean different.
yeah.
Yeah.
I met a Frenchman in Pula who had one of these, who was walking his dog on the leash next to this, and that's how he got around. But he sold me on it. He said it is the absolute smallest, lightest electric vehicle you can have that will get you around places. And it is. I mean, this is a 20-inch wheel, and that's pretty much the size of it, a circle of 20 inches, smaller than a normal bicycle wheel. It carries really easily. It moves really easily. If
Patrick,
you're lazy and
question
you don't
for
want to
you.
pedal, this is a very, and you've learned how to balance. This is a very good option.
I have a question since you have people like say your brother-in-law who I think you said brother-in-law who has
Yeah,
used these. What about mud, water, like less than ideal conditions, dust, getting crap
yeah.
up in there? How do you clean that out? Does it easily,
That's
is it
yeah.
accessible?
I've never asked, and his one had knobbly tires on, so you could use it off road as well. A very good question.
I would
I
be
suppose
intrigued
you
to
can
hear what he
spray
would have to
water
say
in.
to
Yeah.
that.
The clever thing is that the batteries in that are actually, I think it's unsprung weight. I think they slide on a suspension, so it's all really comfortable, mate.
So the
But yeah,
batteries are right in here.
yeah, yeah. Look, I don't know the specific model. I know his model, which is a monster. But yeah.
Interesting.
I've
It's a
I've never
fascinating
had one. I
concept.
find it takes a bit of effort to stand still and not move my feet. So even when I'm on a stand-up scooter, I kind of move my feet backwards and forwards a little bit, and whereas on a mono wheel, you're standing still. You're just leaning. So it might
Oh,
be a bit
come on in
tedious
the
after a while.
comments. If you have one of these or you know someone who's got one of these, either the one wheel pint or the in motion or something like that on a mono wheel, let us
Yeah,
know. That's intriguing. It's weird enough that I'd be worried, but it's also weird enough that I'm interested. You know what I mean? Like, especially those prices for the in motion, $450. That's great.
yeah, yeah.
All right, let's bounce. But before we do, I got to ask Aaron, what do you think? Would Shara ride one of the in motion V6s? No chance
No,
in hell? Zero
not a
chance.
chance. No, no
Patrick, what do you
Uh,
chance.
think about Candace?
Candace would not ride something like that, but the Xiaomi scooter she would probably ride. Yeah,
I
Yeah,
am
and love it.
that one.
I absolutely love stand-up scooters. Yeah.
I am certain Leslie, my wife, would never. Maybe she would try it if we didn't have a camera going, but I don't think that she would be happy to do it. The e-bike and the e-scooter, we've already done those
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, she would like that. All right, let's move on. We got Patrick's former rides. Now, Aaron, I'm going to need you to give us a drum roll because this,
I don't
bam,
know what order
let's
you're going.
go. Look at these.
All right, so
Now, I've
this,
already arranged with Patrick. I get to bring in the pictures and give commentary for color commentary. Then he'll take it from there because that looks like something straight out of a sci-fi adventure. Oh my God, with the chain. I love it. That is incredible.
in
Then
South
we
Africa, you have
go.
to lock stuff up. Yeah.
What is this? That is fantastic. That's actually the one that's the closest to what I'd be like, yeah, I'd ride that. But those
Jason,
shock absorbers alone.
move that one over. Move the screen over a little bit, like you did before.
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah.
can't-
Get rid of us a little bit.
Yeah,
Let me
you
do
can't
that.
see it. There you go. Oh, cool.
Look at
Okay,
that.
cool.
That thing is so
There you go.
cool. I love it.
Yeah.
Once you get them all on the screen, I'll talk you through sort of the history of my electric rides.
Yeah,
I
and
think
if
there's
you'd
still
like,
more
I
to
can
come.
backtrack, and you can talk about them one at a time. But I can't
Well, yeah,
resist
because the order is off. I'll
these
tell you how
pictures
it
are
worked.
freaking awesome. I love it. Then we got look at that
That was my
hair,
third.
everybody. Let's go. That dude was styling. Move over, Helad. That right
On the
there
big
is
magnet bicycle.
our one and only Studley e-bike extraordinaire, Patrick Mackay going to town. And then, folks, come on. If that right there does not make you think flux capacitor on two wheels, I don't know what does.
Okay,
We're going back to the
can I
future
talk
on
you
that.
through them? All right. So let me start at the beginning. So me on the bicycle. That's actually not the first one. Go from me on the
Nope.
bicycle.
There you
So
go.
the first bicycle, I used to have a motorcycle. I used to have a Yamaha 200cc motorcycle, and then I moved into a place where there wasn't safe parking for it, so I couldn't get it up 3 flights of stairs to my apartment. So I built that bicycle in 2006. It was the third electric bicycle in South Africa, and the first one with lithium batteries. It actually had the same batteries as you see in the one below it. So that one is basically it's a motor from China called the Crystalite X5, very powerful. This is a 40-mile-an-hour bicycle, and it would get to 40 in about 2 seconds. So if I opened the
Oh,
throttle, it would throw me off the back, which is lots of fun. And it had a range, a sort of a usable range of about 30 miles. So very cool, very, very nice bicycle. And I used that for a long time. But the 30-mile range meant I couldn't get to the town next door, which is what the one below it was for. So this is a frame I, strange enough, bought from Croatia. The guy who designed the frame is actually now the CEO of Bugatti,
oh,
believe it or not. We went from this bicycle, he had an M3 BMW converted, and eventually he built the Rimac 1 and he started Rimac, which was his electric car company. But anyway, we used to chat on forums and stuff about our different things we were building. And so this is one of his bicycle frames. And then he managed to get a scooter motor converted into a bicycle wheel motor for me. And I ordered those parts and I put it together with lots of batteries. And this one could do 60 miles and I would 85 kilometers an hour as its top speed. So about 55 miles an hour. Monstrously fast for a bicycle. I built it. This was my dream bike. It had cruise control, which was really cool, and it had a 3-speed switch. So if the policemen were around, I put it on speed 1, and it was legal speeds, and if I put it on speed 3, it was non-legal speeds. If you go to YouTube and you search for Africa's fastest bicycle, you'll see a video of it. It had one flaw. If I put the cruise control on and I was doing 30 kilometers an hour in speed 1, and I didn't realize I was in speed 1, and I flipped it to speed 3, it basically sets the speed to 3 times that. So then I'd be going 90 kilometers an hour. And if you flipped it by accident, you didn't have the ability to flip it back because you were holding on for dear life and trying to dodge through cars and that. But yeah, very, very good time. Anyway, those were lots of fun. But if I needed to service my car, I couldn't put these in the trunk of my car and get them to the dealership. And for that, I built these electric scooters. Well, I didn't build them. People used to give me broken scooters and I would fix it. So the one on the left there was normally a 450 watt, just get you around scooter and that. But it was, the batteries were dead and the controller was blown. So I put lithium inside that as well. And I ordered a controller from a guy I knew in the States. And he used to
are these
soup up his controllers a little bit.
Patrick? Are these the
Got that big
controllers on
silver
the
thing on
back?
the outside. Well, one's a controller and the other's a heatsink for the motor because
Ah,
instead of the controller providing 450 watts, it was pretty much unlimited. It was a
wow.
DC motor, so it was literally just open up the motors. And I used to get 5 horsepower out of this thing.
Oh wow.
And it was the
No
most
kidding.
dangerous out of all the vehicles I've ever used was this one.
Whew.
It tried to kill me many, many times, either throwing you off backwards or forwards or, everything crazy like that. It had no suspension. But the most fun you can have on 2 wheels is this tiny little thing. And I used to love it. And I used to go do my grocery shopping on this and I'd balance the bag in the middle. Eventually, I cooked the motor. It did take a while, but using a motor at 7 electric motors, I don't know if you know, they can pretty much put out any amount of power. There's almost no limit. The limit comes in is when things will melt, and eventually they will melt. So if you take an electric car like the Tesla Plaid or whatever, and its motor is actually rated for maybe 250 kilowatts or something, you can easily boost that to 1,000 kilowatts, which they do. Very short periods of time. But anyway, so eventually I cooked the motor and I needed a new electric scooter. And I found another one online for next to nothing. I think for $15 the guy had, and it also had dead batteries, but everything else worked. So I just took the battery pack out of the first one and I put it in the second, and yeah, we're back in business. But the second one had full suspension and a seat, and that was wonderful. Anyway, that was my transport that I could take inside my car for quite a long time, was that little one.
Well, we had a nice comment here come in from Gustavo, and he
Yeah.
brings up a very good point about all of these, which match what Patrick just very beautifully detailed for us. And that is you ride an electric bicycle and you have a
Yeah.
grin for days. And I'm
So
telling you, they
yeah.
are fun.
They are fun. It's an interesting choice of words there. So there is actually a thing called the e-bike grin, and it's
Oh,
it's quite common in the e-bike world. Now, I'm back in the e-bike world from the early 2000s when these things didn't exist everywhere. And the fact that you're sitting on a bike and you're getting propelled forward like you've been shot out of an elastic band, like you're in a slingshot. It's that weird, weird feeling. It does. It gives you a bit of a grin. But one of the e-bike companies, probably the greatest e-bike company in the world, is called Grin Cyclery in Canada, and they named themselves
oh,
after this e-bike grin.
oh. So Gustavo's playing word games with us. I like it. Those are my fave. Now we also have he I put out a video. We just bought one. You'll see here in a bit. But he saw the video, and I had to tell him, you know, I'm glad he did, and I'm looking forward to it. So just a little plug here. I'm getting ready to do a thorough breakdown video of that. Maybe I'll get Patrick to be able to co-host that one since he's got so much experience with e-bikes, where he can say your bike sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you bought. I do like the look of it. We'll talk about it a bit later. Anyway, so all of these things have got one major drawback though. So I had all of this stuff in South Africa. I loved them all to bits. Personally, I liked my first e-bike and my first scooter more than the second of both choices, just because it was smaller, lighter, easier, and it was more fun. Sometimes bigger and faster isn't as much fun as small and sort of nimble. Um, but you can't fly with any of these, so there's no way I could bring them to Europe. And that's where the whole thing sort of fell apart. And I sold one and I gave a couple away, and yeah.
Nice. All right, we've got Gustavo interjecting again. This one I'm going to leave to Patrick since he picks up on all the
Yeah,
wordplay.
yeah.
Started
So
electric
he's
biking
been
around
in the e-bike
2003.
world even longer than I was,
Wow.
when people did literally strap on. So Crystalite was the big name in Chinese brand for hubs. They made everything from small hubs to big hubs. I had a big hub. Um, and yeah, the batteries went from lead acids to little round nickel metal hydrides because Chevron Texaco owned the patent for nickel metal hydride. They bought it from whoever invented it, and they said, "Okay, we'll release it onto the world, but nobody can make anything bigger than a D cell battery because otherwise you could make electric cars." And they didn't want that.
Oops.
Yeah, they didn't want the competition.
We don't want that now, do we? Oh my goodness. So ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right, what do we think? We're ready to move on from this slide, Patrick?
I don't have too much else to say about them. Yeah.
I think it's fantastic, and it just shows your expertise goes back a long way, and
Well,
the creativity. I mean, goodness, that's ingenious.
I do need to say one more thing. The bike with all the blue cells you see at the bottom there. So, yeah, somebody said it looks like it's powered by Red Bull. It felt like it too, but it does actually have a plastic cover which covers all of those cells. So this was just me without the cover because I was working on it at the time.
It looks like it's powered by Red Bull.
Funny.
Yeah.
I didn't think
Yeah.
it until he said that. Now I'm like, yeah, that's all I can see. I love it. All right,
And bike,
so
very heavy. Yeah.
then we
Anyway,
go
this
to
is what I
Patrick's
ride today.
current rides.
Yeah, everything in there gets ridden by me. So besides the wife, we've got two little folding bikes there. They are Brompton folding bikes, and Brompton is famous in the bike world. If you're a nerd who wants a bike, you buy a Brompton because they're very cool. But they're also really good load carriers. I don't have the picture of me carrying my boat's toilet in the back of a Brompton, but this was us crossing Austria on the bicycle. So we had a big bag on the front with stuff in it, and a backpack on the back with stuff in it. And they fold up incredibly small. They weigh about 13, 14 kilos. They carry the biggest load of it of any bicycle or scooter I've ever seen, because you've got bags that clip on the front and things you can put on the back. And they're just very practical, very cool, but unfortunately very expensive. So if you want to buy a new one now, you're looking, they start at $1,000 for an unpowered bike up to probably 2,000 something for a powered bike. The patent on them has expired. You can buy cheaper copies from Asia, but then you've got to get them in and that. But Brompton is really well made, and you can almost always sell it for the same price you paid for a new bike. And
Oh,
we love ours. For a boat, I think it's probably the best bike you can get because it folds really well. If you really want to spend some money, you buy the $4,500 titanium version because
oh,
then it's also incredibly light and it doesn't rust or anything like that. But this is what we have on the boat is we've got both of these bikes, and 99% of the time they sit on the boat. If we're in marinas or in boatyards, they might get used, but I've only ever used it once in anger from an anchorage. And that's because I had to go 9 kilometers, so what, 6 miles. And it's such a mission, even with the smallest folding bike in the world, to put it in your dinghy, get it to shore, and take it out the other side. I can just do it with one bike and Candace and the dogs, but I can't do it with two bikes.
hmm.
So if we need both bikes on shore, we're doing two trips. And
Happy
for that
classic.
reason, my billabongs, which is, I've gone through many, many levels of flip flops, and the billabongs are my current favorites, are what get me around pretty much every other day, up to an hour each way to go and buy stuff and do stuff. And that. On the Brompton, though, I had built my bike in Pulla using the Brompton as my transport because the grocery store was 3 kilometers away and the hardware store was 5 kilometers away. And I've carried 3 meter long sticks of wood. You've seen our boat is wood lined, was all carried on the Brompton. Everything I bought. I rebuilt a boat using a Brompton as my transport.
Wow, wow. That's impressive for them. Over here with Vlad, his comment, and Vlad, actually, you came in at the perfect time for that question
Yeah.
because this is Patrick's current ride, and I mean that's just an impressive accomplishment. We didn't see the photos here, but my goodness, the stuff that can be packed on the back of this thing is unbelievable, to be quite honest.
If you reload the slide, I've just pasted the picture in, so maybe it'll show. Let's see. No, you'd have to refresh. I don't know. Okay, we can always check it out another time.
Heck, forget that. It's worth it. I'll get out of here and do
Mm.
it because that was awesome. And let me
Go
refresh
to the previous slide. Sorry.
previous slide.
Yeah.
Oh yes, look
Oh
at
wow.
this, Aaron,
Click
Aaron,
stop.
Aaron.
What is that?
I
A
told you I built the
refrigerator
bike
on the back?
using that. That's my toilet.
Oh wow. Click strap to the back.
Yeah, on the rack.
He
They
said it.
say the racks are only for 10 kilos, but you can carry more.
Wow.
That is awesome.
Yeah, you know, if you got to do it, you got
I
to do,
wouldn't.
right?
I mean, yeah, you do what you got to do, and that's so much of the boating world is you do what you got to do almost all the time in so many different ways.
There you go, guys. You heard it here. That's why you come to this show. You learn little tidbits like that. You do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to jump forward here to Jason's newest purchase. And so just bought this yesterday, guys. So this is hot off of the press. And actually, I released a video that was referenced about that. And so this is a new to me bike. That is electric XP Lite. And I got it up to 20 miles per hour. That's a slight downhill. No pedaling. I did pedal a little bit right there, but it got to 20 without pedaling. And that's what its stated max is. This bike had 230-ish miles that were on it already. So these bikes sell for like $1,000, $799 starting, and this thing folds up. And so right here in the middle, it has a real reinforced joining plate here that on the other side has a latch, and so you can unlatch it and it folds completely in half. In fact, when it opens, folded in half there, what you see is the battery itself is nestled in this frame and is removable. And so you could charge it by pulling it out and plugging it in. I liked that it had this on the back already. The kickstand's fine. It feels nice and sturdy. Oh, and the handlebars also fold and collapse in. So it gets real good and tight, like that slide that I showed at the beginning of the show. And then this is me going down. I ran up to go get some sodas I told Leslie, hey, I want to go test this thing, so I'll be right back. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to run up to Dollar General. And it was like a cheap store and grab some stuff. And wound up getting a couple 2 liters of soda and put them in the backpack and coming back. No problems whatsoever. I will say the one funny thing was I was recording with my phone with my left hand and controlling the throttle and all that with my right hand. And when you take off with that, like, whoo, you're pushed back and you're like, oh my, I'm gonna crash because of being one-handed like an idiot. Well, I did not, but one-handed over potholes that are notorious from Missouri was also a thing. So it's been fun getting to know that. I'm going to do a full breakdown of that later, and just looking forward to seeing how we might use that. I am fully aware that the flip-flops are going to be the play most of the time. Like the vast majority of the time, hoofing it, walking, whatever word you want to use with that. That's just the smart way to do it most of the time. But I just, having grown up with a car since I was 15, I've had a vehicle and my own vehicle. And so the idea of having no vehicle when I get to land is very foreign, very disconcerting, unpleasant constriction, like, oh, I gotta have something. And so we'll find out. I'll probably wind up getting rid of it because I never need this thing. But hey, it was fun and we got it for $450. So it's not the breaking the bank kind of a thing. So Facebook Marketplace. And it's funny too, because I was chatting with Patrick. I was like, man, I'm thinking about getting this, and Electric has this sale that's coming to an end. What do you think? And he's like, I don't really know much about them, but taking a look at it for me. And he's like, do you have any way to go test ride one? I was like, oh yeah, duh. I always check Marketplace. Why did I not go and do that? And so I found a guy on Marketplace. He's just the next town south. And I was like, hey, can I come by and ride it? He's like, sure, come on out. Fun little interaction. And about 5 minutes later, I was like, sold. And so Cash App for the win. Actually, I think that was Venmo, but whatever. Aaron, thoughts about this from an American perspective?
Yeah, I think it's cool. The one thing that I notice looking at it, and I haven't ever ridden an electric bike, but one thing that I notice is, why is the back tire so much larger than the front?
I think there might be perspective. I'll have to measure them.
Okay, yeah, and hitting potholes and something like that wouldn't be too fun.
It has some. Where was the suspension? I can't remember.
Does it have a front shock or something? That
I don't think it has a front shock. It didn't feel like the end of the world hitting a pothole. I'll say that. I mean, it felt like you're hitting the whole pothole on a bicycle, but it did not. Not like a car where you're like, oh yeah, that was nothing. It was something, but it wasn't like, oh my god, the only reason it felt like I was gonna fall is because I was one-handing it and had my phone in the other hand. I was like, oh, that's weird. If I was two-handing that, it would have been nothing. Patrick, what are your thoughts?
So I think this has got 20-inch wheels, which is bigger than the Brompton wheels. The one thing you learn very quickly with big bicycles, you can take your hands off the bars and you can kind of like, centrifugal force keeps you going in the right direction, or gyroscopic force at least. That doesn't exist on small wheel bikes, so never take both hands off the wheel. But it'll get you around. Look, it's going to be big and clunky getting in and out of the dinghy, and please don't drop it in the water because it's going to get pissed if you do. So, but I think when you're in marinas and when you're in boat yards, this is going to be a dream. And you're going to spend lots of time in marinas and boat yards. And this will haul anything up and down. You'll get your tools there. You'll get heavy stuff. Your chain would fit on the rack, no problem if you could put a basket on there. I would try and find a basket that you can clip on or cable tie on for boat yards or something like that. Yeah.
You just about lost me on don't drop it in the water. Oh, thank you. That's helpful. Yeah.
But going by what I've seen other boaters do, I've seen people walking everywhere, and I've seen people pedaling non-electric bikes everywhere. The electric stuff I've only seen in the marinas. I've seen people with scooters, but again, they don't do it on anchor. And I don't know why. It's just if it's that inconvenient. I think you'll get lots of use out of it when you're staying in one place attached to land, and I think you'll get very little use out of it when you're not. But at the price you paid, I think you got a bargain. For the specs it's got and the motor and all that, I think you did really well. Lose. And it's probably worth having just for those few times you're on land.
Yeah. Very good. All right, let's see if we got any other slides. I don't remember actually. I think we might be at the end.
I
Yeah,
think
that's
so.
the end of the slideshow. And as far as all this conversation goes, here's what's fun, right? Like I always want to come back to what's the fun in this. And the fun in this is the adventure for me. Like this is doing things differently on purpose by choice, right? That's the whole boating lifestyle. You're doing something that is abnormal compared to the masses on purpose by choice. And so when you get to land, it just goes hand in hand that you're going to do something different on purpose by choice. And so for me, that's just kind of the fun in this. I think we'll probably do one of those. How'd you pronounce it? Xiaomi.
Yeah.
I think we'll probably do something like one of those Xiaomi style
Stand up scooter.
stand up scooters just because like they're so light. I can
So
imagine,
cheap. Yeah.
yeah, getting two of those and wind up sticking with those. We'll just see how Leslie feels. I know we talked about it and she's like more comfortable with a seat. And so maybe we'll keep this for her and get one of those for me. We'll see. That's the fun in this though, is being able to experiment and try it out. And when you got something like Facebook Marketplace where you don't have to spend $1,000 to try it out, you can spend half of
Yeah.
that, less than half of that.
Yeah, and if you if you don't like it, you can put it back up there and sell it to the next guy, right?
Exactly. Hey, we got a comment that came in just now from KE2 Delight. I'm not sure who that is. Something off topic.
That's
Don't
Vlad.
laugh.
That's Vlad.
Don't laugh. And we immediately laugh. I love
Yeah.
that. Don't laugh. But I'm worried an EMP would make my boat useless. Anybody else worries about that? Have you thought if a catamaran be turned into a moving Faraday cage? So that's actually interesting in a lot of ways. The EMP thing, I haven't thought too much about. I know in the state of the world right now, and you never know what's going to happen. Oh, okay, maybe. But as far as the Faraday cage and how it relates to lightning and how it relates to just weird electrical events, the original boat that I saw was Indigo Lady, and if you haven't seen Indigo Lady, it is the contraption built by a retired teacher. He was a high school, I think it was physics, maybe chemistry teacher, and he's just
Yeah.
brilliant with a lot of electronic stuff. And I saw his boat first. He and his wife converted a big catamaran. Patrick, are you familiar with Indigo Lady?
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
know them
yeah.
well. Yeah.
And so their components, when he did a full breakdown of his boat, he showcased a lot of things, including little like prongs, spikes that were sticking off of the corners of his solar array. And he was convinced that that would cause it to serve in that way as a Faraday cage. I don't know. That's way beyond my ability. Patrick, Aaron, any thoughts on that?
So to make your boats Faraday cage, I think would be really difficult. I mean, lightning can get through most things, and EMP, I assume, can travel quite well as well. I don't know if a aluminium boat might be able to block those pulses, and there are quite a few aluminium cats available. I think turning your boat into a Faraday cage is going to be really difficult and really expensive. But hopefully, an EMP won't travel to the middle of the nice places we're going to be on our boat. Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
lightning is always a worry. And I think I said it in an earlier video. Your only way to defend against lightning is a well-paid insurance policy. So
Yeah. Very good. Well, final thoughts. Let's go with eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'll start. My final thoughts are this cup is awesome, and that is available on Aaron's
Thanks.
Extraordinary Horizons. If you go and buy his stuff over there, you get the cool stuff, and he gets contribution toward building his boat, which is about to splash soon. I'm super excited about that.
Yeah.
We really need to do an episode on our upcoming year, guys. I think that would be fun. Maybe that'll be our end of January surprise, whatever we call it, mystery topic. What do you think? Maybe we'll talk about it. But my final takeaways on this, I've already said it. It's an adventure. Go have fun with it. Experiment.
yeah,
Figure it out. Make sure you have a good pair of flip flops, and the rest will figure itself out.
Yeah. So with me, I think that I say this at the end of every episode because I think it's fitting. Technology is traveling at lightning speed, like Patrick was talking about, I think 2004, and what he was doing in 2004. And now look what's happening in 2026, 2025, 2026. Lightning speed. So, and I think things are traveling even like the progression is even faster than it was in the past years. So, yeah, I mean, it's exciting to see what's coming. Like Jason said, this is all one big experiment in doing things differently than 99% of the rest of the people out there, which is exciting to me. I've always been unique and different, to put it lightly. Yeah, bold, big, do it big or go home kind of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, exciting and totally different. And I'm excited to see what comes in the near future with this kind of technology.
Nice one. So I'm going to go out and say I'm a car nut. I love cars, but a life without cars is a better life. And it's
Ooh.
just one of those things to say. I mean, it's nice walking everywhere. It's great getting
Oh,
a bicycle and going places. It's fun getting on a scooter and moving around. It's just, you have a lot less stress. Nobody's going to scratch your car. Nobody's going to bump into it. You don't need to pay for toll fees. You don't need to pay your insurance. You're not going to get a traffic fine. It's so easy not having a car around, and so much cheaper as well. Your life, it's a massive expense that just disappears from your life for many years. And I think we're talking about expenses next week, so that's going to come into it quite nicely. And then I have one weird thought, which I don't think a lot of people would pick up. So, Jason, you've just bought an e-bike, and you could have had a regular bicycle, but did you know that an e-bike is actually cheaper to run than a regular bicycle mile per mile?
What?
And yes, and the reason is because for you to do X number of miles, you're burning a certain number of calories. And to replace those calories with food is actually more expensive than plugging into the grid and just putting electrons into a battery.
Oh my God.
So
Especially
e-bikes
when you
are
don't have a grid, it's just sunshine. I love it.
like that might throw it out if it's sunshine because you're getting free power. But if you're paying for power, it would be cheaper to pedal, to not pedal and just sit on the bicycle. And the environmental impact is also significantly lower. Your greenhouse gases on an e-bike charging from a coal power station is lower than you putting food, which has taken tractors and lots of diesel engines to get into your
Especially when you
system.
factor in the kind of food I eat. My God, those poor people have to lot.
So, yeah, I mean, if you were only eating enough. But yeah, no, so e-bikes are pretty much the ultimate form of transport. And
I love it.
I used to get stopped at traffic lights with questions in the mid 2000s, whereas now, nobody takes a second look because they are literally everywhere.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
become
I'll stop
ubiquitous.
there. Thank you.
That's good. Well, folks, you've heard it there. And there again, wrapping things up with the view of our topic today, just for the sake of the YouTube video to see that and be able to stop and put that as a thumbnail easily. But next week, Patrick's already alluded to it. We're going to be talking about expenses and all of that. Patrick, it's your topic. Do you want to share a little bit more of a teaser with that, or do you want to leave it at that?
Well, the funny thing is, I'm busy. I've been working for the last 2 weeks on a video where we've added up all our costs from a January to a December, so a full year,
Whoa.
including time on land and time in a marina and time on anchor in the middle, and everything we spent on tools and things to replace and things to fix and all of that. So I've got the hard numbers, and hopefully we can talk about that next
Oh,
week.
that's big. That's big. So we should be going to Sailing Electra's channel here soon to see that video, yes?
I'll try and do it before we do our podcast next week. So hopefully by
Oh,
Friday next week we'll
yes.
be out. And then
Oh
we can
my
talk
God,
about the
I'm
real
very
numbers.
excited.
You're making a resurgence.
Yep.
And
We're
it's
coming
taken
back.
a lot. So we've fortunately kept track of all the numbers, but then you've got to realize you've got to annualize some costs because some things you're going to have to replace every 5 years or 10 years, and some things you think you won't have to. So it's been quite a challenge getting the numbers worked out exactly.
Wow. Okay, there you go. Next week, make sure to tune in. And also, in between, he's hoping to have his episode up on Sailing Electra. Reminds me, please like, subscribe, follow, comment, all the things. But most of all, please comment. I love hearing about your own projects. Looking forward to some of these folks who've been commenting. They've got some really cool things coming up as well. Would love for you guys, if you're interested, um, share your comments and share your thoughts. Reach out to us maybe on Instagram would be the easiest way, I think, to DM. And, we can pursue maybe having you on as a special guest episode. We're very open to that. We want to hear about your projects, have you showcase your boat. And if you're doing an electric conversion, I'm definitely going to be interested in that. If you're doing a solar arch, wow, we want to hear more about that. But even if you're in, Dino Juice land, I'll roll my eyes at it, but I'll love hearing about it. I'm snarky enough. I prefer electrics enough. I'd let you know. But here we go. We got a last comment here as we're leaving, and that is, when are the new seasons starting for you guys? Whoa, my goodness. I think we're going to leave that one as an unanswered question and a stay tuned, because that could be coming up in a future episode. Very good. I will leave it to Patrick to see us out.
Thanks for watching.
See you later, guys. Have a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in.